Track. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Take Three Podcast. We're here Tuesday afternoon following Monday Night Football. A pretty bad game overall, to be honest. If you're a Justin Herbert better, you know what I mean? DraftKings scammed you guys pretty damn good last night. I think he threw a touchdown pass in 26 straight games. They boost the odds to, I think it was even money, plus 100, and they straight shaft you guys. He doesn't throw a touchdown. They win, but it wasn't pretty. And then on the Broncos side, it's just typical Broncos stuff this season, right? Russell Wilson, it seems, is just gathering another injury every week as they gather another loss every week. So that's what the Broncos season looks like. It's tumbling down. Hackett's first year, I don't know what he looks like long term. Obviously, we saw where the week started off. Bears, Commanders. It was pretty bad action on the field. Hilarious to watch the Bears get it in the red zone, the 5-yard line 3 times, I think it was in that game. And then they turn Justin Fields into Peyton Manning, don't use any zone reads anymore, and just completely shit themselves. And the Commanders win. Going into Sunday, a lot of upsets. Falcons upset the 49ers. That was shocking. Double-digit 14-point win. Obviously, spread-wise, I like the Falcons at 5.5, but I ultimately did think the 49ers would win, but it's just a weird game traveling across country to Atlanta. Patriots dominate the Browns. Jets go on the road, beat the Packers. The Giants win. So, I mean, it was a week of upsets and certain teams as well. We obviously had the Bills-Chiefs matchup we'll get into. The Cardinals lose again, what they're looking like. So, coming off of a week 6, how are you feeling on a Tuesday?
I am feeling great. You forgot to mention the most important thing. The Philadelphia Eagles are 6-0. They had a great Sunday night game. Honestly, a really fun weekend of football. A lot of upsets. Spreads are kind of all over the place. Not a great weekend to bet if you were betting favorites, but like I had a good weekend. The Eagles are 6-0 on top of the NFC. It's like hard not to be happy.
For sure. And that's literally the first topic on the docket here. Guess it's not going to do that, but yeah, Eagles, we remain undefeated, right? 6-0, favorable schedule coming forward. Do you think they're a lock for the 1 seed just going off of Sunday night's game? Obviously, we came out hot, jumped out to a 20-0 lead. Lane Johnson gets hurt, and then you kind of seen this script flip for a little while. It was honestly a little bit scary. Cooper Rush kind of settled in a little bit. They got the run game going. We couldn't get anything going on offense. I don't know why. We started out the first drive, drop back passing. It didn't really work. And then we came out in the third quarter and tried to get fancy and do the same stuff when we could have just mowed them down. And so it got a little dicey. You know what I mean? We let the momentum flip, but then the drive to seal the game was just vintage stuff, run the football, freeze Micah Parsons. He's a hell of a player, but I think we exposed a little bit there with how aggressive he is and making him have to make decisions, right? When we ran that little loop play with A.J. Brown across the formation on the zone read, and he has to pick between A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. He was a little, he was caught in between. And yeah, I mean, it was a hell of a drive. It felt good. It got dicey, but it was a good win. And so, yeah, I mean, looking forward to the schedule. It's hard to find a lot of losses. I don't like to be biased or be cocky, but I mean, just looking at that schedule, it's tough to picture many losses. Do you think at this point we're a lock to be the 1 seed in the NFC?
I do, honestly. And like, it's just simply strength of schedule. Our schedule is extremely favorable the rest of the way. It's been favorable to start the year, honestly. And now that like what we did to that very good Dallas defense, I think he pretty much nailed it. They straight up attacked Micah, made him make decisions. I thought that was phenomenal. Make him do it. They put pressure on Cooper Rush, make him actually play a full 4 quarters, full 60 minutes of football. I think was really well done. And like you just look at the landscape of the NFC, a lot of 3-3 teams, a lot of them, a couple 4-2s. And then you got the Vikings sitting at 5-1. We have the tiebreaker with them already. Obviously, we beat Dallas. They're sitting at 4-2. The New York Giants are kind of interesting. We'll get 2 matchups with them. So assuming their victories, we can create separation there. The path for the Eagles for the 1 seed is pretty clear, honestly. We should be favored for the 1 seed. That should be likely. I don't want to, say it's guaranteed, but it's pretty damn close. It's going to be hard to beat. I mean, I think it comes down. The Eagles look like the best team in the league. Certain individuals, you can argue Bills or Chiefs, the game that happened before. They're obviously the cream of the crop in the AFC, but yeah, I mean the NFC, like it looks like the road to the Super Bowl is going through the link, going through Philadelphia. Philadelphia looks like the team to beat. I mean, we just have won games in like every form of fashion: running the ball, passing the ball, defensive stop, get a lead early in the game, maintain, go down by 2 possessions, battle back, win the game. And I think this team just makes adjustments and is very resilient. They're going to be hard to beat. I think you kind of hinted at already, like the Cowboys got going in the third quarter. we stopped running the ball. But more importantly, we lost Lane Johnson to a concussion. All of a sudden, Micah Parsons against Driscoll, he started getting somewhere. But like, I think the best part about that is the adversity for the team. They looked rattled at one point and they started going somewhere. And then they cut the lead down to 3. Jalen Hurts got the ball back. They started running it without Lane Johnson, and they got into a groove. They adjusted on the fly. Not a good third quarter, but the other 3 were good. So like, it's even more encouraging to me that they kind of struggled, just because Lane Johnson is such an important piece of the offense. To lose him, struggle, and then adjust within the same game, I think it says a lot about the team, honestly. People will have their opinions, but it just feels like a resilient team that's winning in many different ways. And that's why I feel so good about the team, and the schedule's not great. So yeah, I had to say pretty confidently, we feel like a lock for the 1 seed. Anything can happen. It's the NFL, but we're definitely the favorite.
Yeah, easily. The NFC, there's not many other teams in the NFC that have really impressed or on that level. This looks like a complete football team. They can run the ball, they can pass the ball. The defense is there, the swag's there, and yeah, I mean, the backs were against the wall. It looked like it was going south, and then Jalen Hurts in the offense, they got it together and ran a big drive. It was very encouraging. It was one of those that felt kind of like a playoff game almost, when you're obviously it's week 6, but it's like those are the drives you're going to need in big games, playoffs, Super Bowls, to lead the team only up 3 and make a drive, right? Put it together. And I was waiting for the pass the whole time. I was like, they're running. They're bound to just have one of those zone reads where they can sneak a pass in and get behind. And then obviously the game clincher to Devonta Smith it was beautiful. So yeah, I mean, I would agree. The schedule is there. The big thing is the schedule as well, right? Not a lot of hitters on the schedule. People will bitch and moan and complain, but I mean, if you look at the Giants schedule, they're not playing many hitters as well. Coming up, it's just kind of how it rolls, right? I mean, next year it's going to be different. Obviously, if we finish first, we'll get a first place schedule, but that's kind of how it rolls. We got a luck of the draw. Everybody, you don't get to draw up your schedule. You don't get to pick. I saw a lot of Cowboys fans too. You beat the backup quarterback by 9. I mean, this was the same guy you guys were gassing for 4 weeks, and the defense you were gassing for 4 weeks, right? It's not like Dak Prescott got hurt in the middle of this game. You knew Cooper Rush was going to be the guy walking into Philadelphia, so you can't flip the script now, right? So I mean, yeah, it was a good week. And there's more ball. I always say there's more ball to be played. I mean, there's a lot of football left. They got to stay healthy. The O-line kind of gets beat up a little bit. They're the switching out. I want to see the health along the O-line keep up, but the football team's there. Everything's there, from coaching, the quarterback, the run game, the defensive line. It's a good 6-week stretch heading into a bye week.
I think it's more about because yes, there are the people are deflecting, saying they had to start Cooper and not Dak. Like, that's not really the chatter before the game. Of course, it switches to that. I think it's more about like the Eagles offense performing against this Dallas D. This Dallas defense was probably the best in the league. I don't think it's crazy to say that. They have been phenomenal through 6 weeks, and no one scored more than 19, and we scored 20 and a half. So very encouraging. And just the last point is like, the Eagles are going to be so hard to beat if the Link is rocking like that. The atmosphere in that stadium pregame and everything, it looked electric. It looked like they were having fun. It looked and felt like a playoff game. I mean, I just cannot wait. I hope they can sustain this pace and lock up the 1 seed.
Yep. So let's see. We'll see. Bye week going into week 7, ready for week 8 against Pittsburgh. Let's move on here. Obviously, earlier in the day, Tampa Bay completely struggled, right? They just couldn't get anything going offensively. Tom honestly doesn't look the same. The divorce stuff, I honestly think that's playing a factor. There's a lot on that man's mind. Plus, it finally looks like for the first time in his career that kind of father time is there. The O-line's not really doing their job. He was screaming at the O-line on the sidelines. It was kind of interesting. I saw one tweet that was like, this is the guy that takes Wednesdays off, decided to fly to New York for a party on whatever day it was, Friday or Saturday, and then just casually trot in by himself Sunday and then scream at the O-line. That's kind of a point as well. But yeah, I mean, Tom doesn't look the same this year. The Bucs don't look good at all. And it's just a bad loss, right? To go on the road, a game everybody's seen. They were like 10-point, 9-point favorites at 1 point, 8-point, maybe it was. They were at least a touchdown favorite going into Pittsburgh, facing Kenny Pickett. You think the defense would be able to go crazy. You think Tom Brady, this is a get good game, 1-4 club in Pittsburgh, and they just couldn't do it. They fought a 3-3. You concerned about Tampa Bay? I think I am, right? I don't think, I mean, that team doesn't, from an offensive standpoint, right? It was like the defense will kind of be there. And if the defense isn't there, we saw last year, like Tom Brady and the offense were able to carry the load. But I mean, you're seeing Godwin's back out there. You're seeing Mike Evans, Fournette's out there. There's weapons out there. Russell Gage is out there. And it's just, it doesn't feel like the same zip is there. Tom Brady doesn't feel like the same guy that he was last year when he was pretty much arguably top 2 in the MVP running, right behind Aaron Rodgers. So yeah, are you concerned about the Bucs after they dropped to 3-3?
For the first time, I am legitimately concerned. I kept writing it off all year, saying defense has played at a Super Bowl level, which I still believe that to be true. Outside of last week, they have been very good and they got the personnel for it. And you just had to believe, oh, Tom and these weapons will get it going. But like you give a lot of leeway to Tom because what he's accomplished and how good he's been, but like football is a team sport and it's very repetitive and timing is so important. It's like he has all these things in the off season. He missed part of training camp. He went to a wedding over this week that you already mentioned. It's just, I think all these things matter. They miss Ryan Jensen on the line a lot. He's screaming at the offensive line. They're not on the same page. I don't think this is a year Tom could really afford to miss training camp or go to a wedding in the middle of the week. Obviously, he's earned it career-wise. I mean, some people will disagree because he signed a contract for this year. But like I think he's earned the time. But the problem is like the team is not what it was a couple of years ago. You don't have the same continuity. You don't have the same timing and rhythm. And it's like I don't think he has the luxury to do that this year, and it's showing. I'm legitimately concerned for the Bucs. I do not. It's like they have fallen off just like the Rams have to me. I don't at this point in time. They both could turn it around simply based on personnel and talent. But at this time, like I don't believe either of them are true contenders. Tom doesn't look the same. And it's like I'm very concerned for the Buccaneers, honestly. 3-3, a loss to Pittsburgh. I mean, you have to think that it goes up from here just because of how bad it is, but like he had his weapons on the field. The offensive line's not going to get any better anytime soon. So, yeah, I'm pretty concerned for Tom Brady and the Bucs. I think he is gonna retire after this year, and I don't think he's gonna get like the prettiest finish to the season at this point.
No, they don't look good. A lot's going to be decided. I mean, the next three, they get the Panthers coming up in week 7, easy week, but then they get Baltimore Thursday Night Football, short week, and then they get the Rams the following week. 2 home games, but it's like, I mean, those are big games, right? If you just drop one to Pittsburgh, there's nothing like, you're not going to say the Rams look like shit. Tom Brady will be able to handle them. It's just not that type of team. So it's going to be gut check time. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely contender-wise outside looking in. And yeah, I mean, I think there's a good shot he calls it. I don't know. Obviously, the family stuff could change it up, right? If they're able to rekindle the thing he has going with Giselle, I think he definitely walks away. But other than that, yeah, the Bucs, they're definitely, it's hard pressed to look at them as a Super Bowl contender and keep writing it off and saying Tom Brady will get the ship together, because it just doesn't seem like it's coming together. They just don't have any explosive. They don't have the explosion on offense. And obviously we saw them a couple weeks ago play a team that's a Super Bowl contender in the Chiefs, and they got absolutely obliterated at home. So yeah, the Bucs, I mean, obviously Tom's still there. You can't completely write them off, but I mean, it's in dire situation with what the schedule is looking like coming up for them and already being at 3-3.
Any credit to Pittsburgh? They're going to turn the season around at all, or nah? Just one of those Sundays.
No, Pittsburgh's not turning anything around. I mean, it was
I agree.
Yeah, good win. I mean, you scrapped one together. It's like a typical Mike Tomlin win. Like the team's 1-4, and then they find a way to beat the Buccaneers and Tom Brady right now. Yeah, Pittsburgh's not turning the season around. Wasn't overly amazed with with what they were doing out there. Still a rebuilding year in Pittsburgh. Get yourself a top pick if you can.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
For sure. Let's move on. Once again, man, both New York teams win, and I think you can call both New York teams pull upsets. Obviously, Saquon Barkley, Daniel Jones, Brian Dable, they iced down Lamar. To be honest, Lamar, 2 crucial mistakes, the fumbling and then the fumble, pick it up, throw the interception, and then the fumble at the end of the game is just, that's brutal, right? As we said, I mean, this is a game the Ravens should win. They're 5.5-point favorites. This is a game that was supposed to expose the New York Giants sitting at 4-1, but I got to tip my cap. Brian Dable, Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, the defense, they seem a little charged up. I don't know. There's some swag. I still don't think they're a great football club, but it's time I'm going to give them their respect. They're 5-1. They beat the Ravens. They beat Lamar Jackson, and they put themselves in a good position. They have a very favorable schedule going up. I think they played I know they have a Bears game in there. I think it's a Seahawks game as well. So they're in a good spot. I mean, they won a couple games that they probably would have lost in other years. So I got to tip my cap to Dable and those guys. And then the other New York team, I mean, yeah, they did it again, right? Not pretty. Zach Wilson wasn't pretty at all, but special teams defense kind of completely locked down the Packers, and just, Aaron Rodgers couldn't do anything. Cold weather, but it's rare that we see both New York Giants, New York Jets win the same week. One's 5-1, one's 4-2. Doesn't feel like real life. So what do you have to say about those two teams? And then we'll kind of go to the flip side after that with the Ravens. Yeah, bad loss. And then obviously the Packers, they're kind of in the same spot as the Bucs are. They don't really have any explosiveness. I could really see Aaron Rodgers walking away way after this year, because he obviously has already said he doesn't want to play till he's 40, 45 years old. And there's just nothing going on in Green Bay right now.
Yeah, so I have to reluctantly start and give credit to the New York Giants. I refuse to take them seriously with all the wins. They have had an impressive year, and I said I'm going to be forced to take them seriously if they beat the Ravens. And they went out there and beat the Ravens. I got to give a lot of credit to Brian Dable and this coaching staff, the turnaround they've had for this team. And not to mention their quarterback's Daniel Jones. I don't care how many games they win this year. Like, I don't believe Daniel Jones is an elite guy or someone you want running your franchise for the long term. But it's incredibly impressive what Brian Dable has these New York Giants doing. The fact that they're 5-1, it was impressive. Honestly, I'm surprised I did not see it coming. I really did not think they had a chance to beat the Ravens. Obviously they have a chance, but like I thought it was very slim. You got the Ravens being 5-point favorites on the road. That is a situation where I would love to hammer the home team in a betting sense if I'm not biased, but like I can't get behind this New York Giants team, right? Now I'm going to have to. I give them all the credit. Very impressive win for the New York Giants. And then the New York Jets. I'm not as surprised with this one. Yes, they were underdogs by 7.5 points. Still very impressive. But the Jets have looked good the last couple of weeks, and the Packers have not looked good at all. I had no faith in the Packers. I think I spoke in the preview. I'm not sure why they're still getting touchdown favorites when they were 10-point favorites against the Pats, snuck out with an overtime win, 8-point favorites against the Giants, straight up lost, and now 7.5-point favorites against the Jets and lost by 17 at home. So like, I didn't understand the line. I figured the Packers should be favored. I didn't understand the 7.5, and the Jets proved me right there. I mean, man, the Jets got some swagger too, honestly. You were talking about the Giants swagger. I think the Jets got a little bit of swagger. Zach Wilson, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, and then Sauce Gardner, dude, standing on the field with the cheese head after the game. He's got swagger. He might be a legitimate shutdown corner in this league. I like Sauce's future a lot. And sounds crazy to say, but like the New York Jets are looking up. All of a sudden, the AFC East is very, very competitive. I'm sure the Bills will still win the division, but it gets kind of interesting. So I have to give a lot of credit to both of these New York teams. They were very impressive on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love what Dable's doing. Daniel Jones, for all we keep saying, not the guy. I mean, he didn't have an amazing day, 173 yards, but 2 touchdowns, no picks, right? He hasn't really had those a game where he just turns the rock over like we saw in the Joe Judge offense. Brian Dable's done a hell of a job managing him, and then getting Saquon Barkley, the production that Saquon's putting up out of the backfield, 22 carries, 83 and a touchdown. It's remarkable. I mean, I'm not afraid of the Giants. I'll be the first person to say that as an Eagles fan. I'm not afraid. I'll be ready to play the Giants whenever we play them later in the year. But I mean, tip the cap to them. And then, yeah, I mean, the only thing I'd say about the Jets is they got to find a way to get more quarterback production out of Zach Wilson, because I mean, you're not beating the Bills, making it a scrappy ass game like that, right? I mean, the Bills will be able to gun you down the field. So I'd like to see more out of Zach Wilson, but Breece Hall and Sauce Gardner, those two guys are legit. And then Leonard Williams on the front, it's Quinnen Williams up front. My bad, not Leonard, Quinnen up front, able to just do his thing. He looks like he's coming to his own in year 3. So yeah, I mean, things are looking up. It's weird to say New York Jets football and New York Giants football is looking up considering how they started the past few years, but it's looking good in New York. And lastly on the docket, it was a late window, pretty damn good game, right? Tony Romo, credit to him, man. He said in like the first quarter, he's like, this is not going to be a shootout. I see it being a 24-20 game, maybe getting up to 30 points if somebody breaks out. He called it pretty damn perfect. It was like watching chess in action, right? It was pretty low scoring out of the gates, but it was really like it was a true chess match. And Romo, I got to tip the cap to him in the broadcast booth, because both of those defenses really did make the opposing team work their way down the field and methodically plot their drives out, besides for like one Gabe Davis deep ball from Josh Allen, which was a great throw. It was a lot of working down the field. It was a lot of scrappy football being played. And obviously the Bills go in, they exact revenge, 24-20 W. They kind of get themselves in a good position. I feel like they needed to win kind of more than the Chiefs in a sense. I don't know. I feel like home field means they would like a home one in the playoffs, have Patrick Mahomes have to come to Buffalo in the playoffs rather than them have to go the reverse way again, because Buffalo will be pretty raucous. But it was a big win. I mean, it was a good game. It was a little different. I thought it'd be a little bit more shootout, but obviously when I watched the game, kind of watched how it was going. What do you make of this? Are the Bills, you think they're the clear favorite coming out of this? You think they're a notch above the Chiefs? Obviously, Mahomes late game got kind of gutsy with the football, did kind of what he did in the first 6-7 weeks of last season and tossed one for a pick to wrap it up. I thought it was going to be a vintage Mahomes drive, to be honest. I was like, here we go, right? The Bills they're going to get their hearts ripped out again by Mahomes, but it just didn't happen. Von Miller kind of made a difference too on that field on Sunday. So what do you make of this one coming out of Kansas City?
Yeah, another classic between these two, close game. They both played well for the most part, but Patrick Mahomes threw 2 bad interceptions, and I think that is the highlight of the game, right? I totally agree with you that the Bills needed the win more than the Chiefs. I think it is a much bigger deal that if they were to meet for a third time, that it would be in Buffalo this time compared to Kansas City. The thing with that, though, is I know it's not the same as the NFC situation. The AFC 1 seed feels like it'll probably be Buffalo, but it's far from a lock. Like, they have a tough schedule. All of a sudden, the Jets are playing well. The Dolphins get Tua back. They've already beat them once, and the Patriots could win any game. I mean, I doubt that I still think the Bills take the division, but I only say that to say that the 1 seed is not locked in stone for the AFC, right? The Chiefs are still in play here. It's a long season. The AFC is so competitive, but at the same time, the Chiefs have a tough schedule. So I do think this was a huge win for the Bills, and it matters more for the Bills than for the Chiefs. But I think the big thing is they forced Patrick Mahomes into 2 uncharacteristic big turnovers, and that was a turning point in the game. And I think you can really build on that. And it's just, I have a hard time picking the Bills against the Chiefs until they do it, right? I was the same way when Mahomes was coming up and Tom was in his last couple of years in New England. And I was like, man, I want to pick the Chiefs, but I got to see them do it first. I got to see him do it. And I saw Josh Allen do this last year during the season in a more impressive fashion. They blew him out in the regular season. This game was closer. All credit to the Bills, and especially that defense. Von Miller made a difference, and you forced Mahomes into those 2 picks. And I think the home field advantage could be the difference in the playoffs, but it's just a bigger game than it is for the Bills. It's a bigger game for the Bills than it is for the Chiefs. And I got to see him do it in the playoffs before I just straight ride with the Bills. I think I would still pick Patrick Mahomes on the road in Buffalo in the playoffs right now, but it was very impressive for the Bills. And the last thing I'll say is the Bills are a better team as a whole. I feel like they have a higher ceiling than Kansas City does, and part of that is the departure of Tyreek Hill. But I do think Buffalo has a higher ceiling, and this honestly might be the difference to go into the Super Bowl this year. So you never really know, but huge win for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, we'll see what health-wise looks like in the playoffs. I like that the Bills found a way to get a running game outside of Josh Allen going. Devin Singletary had 17 carries for 85 yards. It's big to get production out of somebody else out of that backfield and having to run Josh Allen a gazillion times. But yeah, I mean, I liked what the Bills did defensively with the spy, with Matt Milano, keeping him in there. I think that made quite a difference. You could see a lot where there wasn't the scrambles for 15 yards like I mentioned last week, where both of these quarterbacks, especially Patrick Mahomes, he's able to wiggle around, run around the backfield, and then he'll scramble for 10, 15 yards and gashy. But the Bills defense right there running that spy, which also forced him in. Yeah, just too uncharacteristic though, especially the red zone one. I think the red zone one was where obviously the last one's going to get highlighted more because that ended the game, but the one in the red zone was it was pretty bad, right? Because you're going to get 3 points out of it. And yeah, it's uncharacteristic stuff. Yeah, I mean, I still want to see another game, right? I want to see the Chiefs secondary get a little bit healthier going into Buffalo, but I want to see them play them in Buffalo. I think I think that would be the ultimate high stakes game of football. So as I said, I could watch these two play 18 times or 17 times because it's just it's methodical. It's good football. But I'm hoping that we get a rematch. And the way things are trending, I mean, in the AFC, can you see anybody knocking off these two teams? I do not. I mean, you're going to take a Chargers team. Brandon Staley's still not really it. Justin Herbert with the ribs thing, they're not really it. They struggled Monday Night Football. Who else? The Ravens are out there. We've seen what they are. They throw away games. They alternate losses. They blow leads. Who else? The Jets. I mean, they're 4-2. Are we really putting the Jets up there with these guys? Probably not. I don't know. The AFC, it's kind of it's kind of these two, right? They stand out pretty damn clear coming out of this game.
Yeah, you just listed a bunch of good teams, but they are all steps below these two guys. And I mean, so it's football, right? And it's a long year. If teams get hot in December, we've seen the Giants do it twice in the past. So we saw the Bengals do it last year. So like they can be beat, but like I don't know how you pick against these two guys with confidence on other teams. Like it just does not feel good. I gotta say it's got to be one of these two. But like there's some rumors going around about the Panthers trading some star players because they're kind of breaking. They fired Matt Rule and they're just kind of a dumpster fire.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the Bills, do you do the LA Rams motto, F those picks and dish out a bunch for Christian McCaffrey? Like the one kind of weak point in the Bills game running.
I mean,
Would
for
you do it?
for them, you might as well. I mean, they have, who is it, Teron Johnson back in the secondary. You just drafted Kyrie Elam. You have Greg Rousseau. You have Ed Oliver, right? So like the core pieces of your team where you're going to draft guys, they're locked in stone, right? They're set. And yeah, so I probably would. I mean, I don't even think for a running back, I don't think you'd have to even go that crazy, like, and give kind of a wild package that you saw maybe the Rams do for Jalen Ramsey, where you'd have to like straight just throw the deck. I mean, obviously you'd probably have to give up a first, but yeah, I mean, I think it'd be worth it, right? You get Josh Allen. And then, of course, you get McCaffrey in an offense with Josh Allen, with Gabe Davis, with Stephon Diggs, Dawson Knox at tight end. I mean, it's absolutely, you'll be able to probably unlock Christian McCaffrey back to the level that we're used to seeing him. I mean, we've seen flashes this year, but it's so hard when PJ Walker, Baker Mayfield are your quarterbacks. But yeah, I mean, I think it would be well worth it. I mean, you saw him go out and give Von Miller that contract this offseason. So they're kind of like, yeah, it's all or nothing. So I would, if I was them, just because the pieces around Josh Allen and on that defense, they're young, they're there. And by the time it's ready to like re-up those guys, McCaffrey's deal, I think he only signed he has like 3 years left. So he'd be on the way out, right? You wouldn't even have to, you can maximize this run now for the next 2-3 years, and then you can just boot him out at the end of it.
I'm with you on that. These Super Bowl windows are so small and they close faster than people think.
Yep.
You never know with the other offseason moves. The Kansas City gets a good player, or like the Chargers take a step. Like you never know what happens in the offseason. So like you look like maybe the best team in football right now. Like I would just swing for the fences because you might be holding the Lombardi in February.
Exactly. Yeah. These Super Bowl windows, it's almost like you got to take it year to year, right? I mean, the years of watching the Patriots dynasty, like it's just not there. We thought the Chiefs were there, right? But they're not even reeling off like straight Super Bowl appearance after Super Bowl appearance after Super Bowl appearance. It's just that tough to do. So, I mean, yeah, especially if you're a franchise like the Bills with a drought dying for a title, you've got to maximize when you have a clear cut like window right now to do it. Let's jump into spread picks. Obviously, how we rolled both under 500 this week. We can also talk about some other games. We mentioned the Falcons dubbing up the Niners by 14 points. That was pretty shocking. The Browns get their asses beat at home. They look bad. Like Jacoby Brissett at the beginning of the year looked like he could steal some W's, but it's like it's gone all south. The Jags, they're kind of showing that they were a fluke. We were kind of riding high with them at the beginning. After they rolled the Chargers, I was definitely a culprit of that. And after the Eagles slot fest loss, they've kind of unraveled a little bit. So, I mean, obviously the spread picks, any other games that you kind of want to dive into real quick?
Lots of underdogs, like and then like kind of some pick'ems. The ones that really did surprise me are kind of the ones you hit on already. Jags +2 is very disappointing because like I was riding higher on the Jags. I thought maybe Trevor Lawrence because he was touted so high, and like I'm obviously biased towards Doug Peterson. I root for him. So they were pretty disappointing. The Ravens were disappointing. The Falcons are undefeated against the spread. They are now 6-0 against the spread. I was very hesitant on picking the Niners, but I thought the Niners were a much better team. They straight up lost by 14. That was really disappointing. And then the freaking Bears Commanders, you might as well flip a coin, right? They muffed a punt, and that was the whole damn game right there. But yeah, a lot of upsets this week. I mean, that classic NFL Sunday, like good luck picking spreads. I think you're at 43, 44-1 on the year. I am now 41-47, 6 games under. So I need a good week to bounce back. But I mean, nothing crazy with the spreads, honestly. Some crazy results, some unanticipated results, but every week has been about 500 or just slightly above or slightly under. So no massive weeks yet.
For sure. I never lost faith in the Commanders Thursday night. I was always on board with the Commanders, rolling with them. Carson Wentz, my guy, does it right now.
You weren't worried with the 4 straight passes to end the game for the Bears?
Yeah, get down to the 5. You have a mobile quarterback, turn him into Peyton Manning. I mean, that's pretty solid stuff.
Yeah,
out of Eberflus and company. They did that multiple times too.
What is that coaching staff doing? You got a quarterback that's more Cam Newton-esque than Peyton Manning-esque. He is an elite runner of the football. He showed it multiple times, and they're calling offenses for him to stay in the pocket and throw. Just a classic Bears coaching, I should say, honestly.
Yeah, it's even worse after you run the ball all the way down the field. So it's not like they threw the ball to get down to the 5. No, they ran the ball and used the Justin Fields' legs to get down to the 5. And then you say, fuck it, we're not doing that anymore. So, yeah, I mean, that's classic. I mean, Eberflus, he's probably a 2-year guy. He's just that moronic. Falcons, I only loved it because the 49ers were going across the country to Atlanta. It felt like 5. It felt like if the Falcons were going to lose, to be somewhere in the 3-point range. Definitely didn't expect them to win 28-14. And then, the Jags won as well, right? I don't expect anytime Matt Ryan has to drop back and throw 59 throws at 52 years old. I'm not riding with it. So, the Jags, as I said, little disappointing. They were looking like they could be a surprise to the league, but now it looks like the AFC South is trending towards our preseason pick, right? I mean, the Titans are up there. The Colts are up there back into the division. Frank Reich's job is saved for at least now. And then I'd say the Chargers one's a slap in the face too. Russell Wilson's all beat up. You're at home. I guess it's a divisional game. I guess we can say that, but I mean, they just looked like shit. Like, I don't know. It's just the JC Jackson thing. I don't think's working out. I think Brandon Staley pulled him at one point, said he's not good enough or something. I was like, I don't know what's going on with the Chargers. I mean, they're 4-2, but to not beat up on the Broncos when Russell Wilson looks like shit, Hackett can't really call plays at a competent level. It's pretty surprising. I liked them at 4.5. I knew I was in trouble though when I checked before the game on last night and it went down to 4. I was like, yep. I was like, we made the wrong pick. Like, it's like the motherfuckers know that the Chargers ain't it this year. They got talent. It'd be interesting, dude. Obviously, Sean Payton's out there for their future, right? Because I mean, Brandon Staley's probably gone if they don't make a serious run, but Sean Payton's going to have legitimate ball clubs to pick from, right? Because I mean, I think if Sean Payton told Jerry Jones, hey, I want to come out of retirement, I'll be your guy's coach, he would fire Mike McCarthy even if McCarthy makes the playoffs, right? And then vice versa, if the Chargers come to you and say, yeah, we'll give you a bag, come out here and coach in LA, coach Justin Herbert, coach this team, all this talent. I mean, Sean Payton's going to have 2 quality squads that will probably go after him if he really wants to come back to coaching. But yeah, I mean, that's my Chargers spiel. Disappointing. They're just, I don't know, the talent's there, but they're not.
The one thing I'll say about that Monday night Chargers Broncos game is please no more primetime Broncos games. We have seen way too many in just a 6-week season. They are not good this year. They're not fun to watch. No more of that, NFL. And another week goes by, another Sunday, the Cardinals do not look good. I know everybody just got new contracts, but I'm every week I feel stronger about, like, I don't know if Cliff Kingsbury is going to last till next year. I know they got new contracts. I know they want to ride him out, but they really have not looked good except for like one quarter and an overtime against the Raiders, really. So it's like, I don't know. Arizona feels like they're getting worse week to week.
I mean, if you're Cliff Kingsbury, do you give a shit? Like, I would take a fat check and say, yeah, I don't got to deal with this midget that plays Call of Duty and 2K all day, right? Like, because Kyler Murray is not very good. Like, I think we're really finding out that, yeah, they made a mistake giving him all that money. And if I'm Cliff Kingsbury, I'm like, fuck it, dude. I don't care. I feel like somebody would hire him. I mean, obviously, I don't really think he's a great coach, but I feel like another team would get a shot somewhere else, right? I mean, but yeah, I mean, that's a disastrous situation. And Cardinals ownership's going to have to make a decision, right?
It would feel very Panthers-esque to take Cliff Kingsbury afterwards.
For sure. Yeah. Panthers are bad. Any kind of closing thoughts? I mean, that's all I got, man. We kind of rolled through it. We're on to week 7 next week, bye week for us, but obviously football will be played. So we'll get into week 7 later in the week.
Feeling good. Eagles are 6-0. That's about it, dude. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Exactly. Eagles are 6-0. Wow, everything's glitching out, but screw it. That's going to be a wrap for today's show. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you have any feedback. Obviously, this fuck up, I mean, drop a comment about that. Let me know how I can fix that from not occurring anymore. That would be appreciated. Add us on Twitter, drop that. As always, we will be back Thursday to dive into week 7's slate of games.